I'm glad to be here after a lapse of about 2.5 years, I guess. I think this is my first physical public talk since the pandemic. This morning I'm going to share with you some ideas on the Buddhist temperament types. Now, the study of temperament is not a new subject now. It is studied by all psychology students. Okay? So, what is this temperament? I give you an illustration so that we can understand the subject matter better. Suppose you have a beautiful vase that you like very much, and you place it in one corner of your house, and your children were playing hide and seek, and one of your children accidentally pushed over the vase, and the vase, bang, broke. So what is your first response? Some of you, yeah, angry, right? First thing, angry lah, my lovely vase, angry. Some parents are a little bit more not so angry type, not easily angry type. When they see the vase broken, they will just say, hi, broken already. Maybe now I can have opportunity to buy a new one. This is a happy type. Another type of parents maybe when they see like this, you get cut or not? And be very careful, don't get cut, correct or not? Then you have another type now, you'll be thinking, next time I must be careful where to place my vase so that it won't be broken. So basically there are 4 main responses to a situation like this, to any situation like this. This is it at home. Suppose in your office, you ask your subordinates to do a report, and he comes back with a lousy report, So when you look at the report, what is your first response? How many of you get angry first? Put your hands. You got no subordinate. Nobody for you to get angry, is it? Most people will first thing get angry first. But another type of boss, we look at this report, like this, how to write this type of report? Cannot lah. You didn't get angry, Then another type of boss, look at this report. This staff, what am I going to do with him? He cannot even write a proper report, What am I going to do with him? Then another one will say, hey, this is not the way to write a report. Now let me guide you through. Okay? So basically there are still also 4 responses. So basically temperament means is how we respond to a situation or how we go about doing something. What is our first response or what is our first reaction to a situation? That is our temperament. So from what I have described to you just now, psychologists have divided our human temperaments into 4 types. Okay? The first type is just now I mentioned to you, the choleric type. Okay? Choleric, bombastic psychological term, sometimes you cannot understand. So I use the word angry type. Okay? So if your vase is broken, you got angry. If your subordinates cannot do a good job, you get angry. Choleric type. Okay? This type, I can think of it's like fighting cock type, fighting cock, like to get angry, fight with people, things like that. Then the other type is the sanguine type. Sanguine type is a happy-go-lucky type, more optimistic. In whatever situations he or she encounters, he sees the good side and the light side. Okay? So the sanguine type. So this type I equate it as like a monkey, happy-go-lucky. Then you have the melancholic type. Melancholic type, you can say it's like a worrisome type, Always think of the negative side. Suppose sometimes you have meeting in your pub, you discuss about doing some projects. There will be some melancholic type will come up with what happened if it's like that, what happened if it's like that. You're talking about all the possible negative things first before you talk about the good things. Okay? Whereas what you call a sanguine type, you talk about the good things first. If we do this project, what are the good things will come? So it has got to do with our temperament. Then of course we have the next one is the phlegmatic type. This type is more reasoned, more cool, looking at the situation calmly. So you have basically these 4 major temperament types according to modern day psychology. Okay? So now we play a game now. We look at some of these people and tell me they belong to what type. Okay? Dalai Lama. Okay, what do you think? He belongs to what type? How many of you think that he belongs to the cool and the calm type? Yeah, I think from my observation, from our observation, I think he's a cool and calm type. Reason things, okay? Then you look at this fella. He is what type? I think all of you know the answer, right? He's a fighting cock type. He fights with everybody. Okay. And then who is our Tunku Abdul Rahman? Tunku Abdul Rahman used to say, I'm the happiest prime minister in the world. And he used to enjoy drinks, horse racing, gambling, have fun. And when people question him, he said, yeah, well, let God question me later. You see? Why you bother about me? You see? So I think he's a happy type. Okay? His temperament is such. Then you have Hussein On, our 3rd Prime Minister. Okay? PM3. Okay? Hussein On used to carry a 6-inch ruler. Why? Whenever he reads reports, he would underline all the important points, you know. Prime Minister, but he developed this habit since young, since he was a military man. So I would say he's a very cautious type. He is always thinking about all the possible problems. Okay, so he may belong to the melancholic type. Well, it's easy for us to observe other people. What is our type? Sometimes we don't know. We think we are the very sanguine type, but outsiders say, that fella is a fighting cock. Correct? And then who is this guy? This one, what type now? It's also another fighting cock. This fighting cock is highly emotionally charged people, so it's easier to recognize. The other two, the worrisome type or the thoughtful type or the cool and the calm type, usually they are less emotional type. So it's not so easily identified by outsiders. Only you yourself know best. Okay, now this one. How about the Buddha? The Buddha which type? Correct. The Buddha Enlightenment type. The Buddha does not belong to any of these temperament types after gaining enlightenment. But before he gained enlightenment, what type? I don't know. Okay, that was 2,500 years ago. I don't know. But from some of the stories that we read, he was a very compassionate man. So he tried to save lives, save the swans and things like that. So he definitely would not be in the angry type or the happy type. Chances are it's the cool type or the melancholic type when he was a prince. Okay, but after enlightenment, we don't try to categorize him in any of the types mentioned. Now this is the modern day psychology looking at our human types. They look at our human behaviors and try to categorize into these types. But from our Buddhist perspective, what I'm going to present to you today is different from this. The Buddhist perspective tries to look at the underlying mental forces that make our temperament type. So we look at the mental side rather than the outward forms. Just now the example I gave you, we look at the outward forms, how people behave, then we try to categorize this is the type. But from the Buddhist perspective, we try to look at what is the underlying psychology or the underlying mental forces inside this man. So we have a different way of looking at our psychological types. So from the Buddhist perspective, the first one there are 6 psychological types. Okay? The first one we call it the possessiveness type, or in the Pali word Raga Charita. The word Charita, if you remember the Malay word Cara, Charita means characters. Okay, characters. So the first temperament type has possessiveness or Raga Charita. People who are very possessive, who greets things, who like to have a lot of things, who like to attach to his own opinions and so on. So we call this the Raga Charita type. Okay, this is the first type. Then you have the second type, the Antipathy type or the Dosa Charita. Or antipathy simply means resentment or angry. Okay, doesn't like this, doesn't like that. Okay, so there's a second type of psychology, human mental force. That is the antipathy type or the Dosa Charita type. Okay, and then the third type is the deludedness or the bewilderment. We call it the Moha Charita type. Okay, so I think you can quickly guess that all these 3 has to do with our 3 evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusions. Okay, from these 3 evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusions, we have these 3 characters manifest in our human behaviors. Okay, but these 3 characters, Raga Charita, Dosa Charita, and Moha Charitas, are emotional factors. Why I call it emotional factors? Because it has got to do with our human emotions. Okay? Whereas there are actually another 3 types which are to do with our rational aspect of our mind. Our human mind is not only emotional, it also has got a rational aspect. Okay? The one is called the confidence type or the Saddha Charita. Saddha Charita, from the word Saddha, which is loosely translated as faith, we can say it's a faithful type. But here it is, I translated it as a confidence type. And some people say it's a believer type. Okay? You like to believe what you believe in. Okay? Then you have the next type is critical intellectual acumen type or the Bodhi Charita. Buddha Enlightenment, Bodhi Charita means your mind is something that tries to seek clarity. Okay? And therefore your mind is very sharp in trying to differentiate between good and bad and so on. So you have this critical intellectual acumen. You tend to differentiate, you judge, you discriminate. That's critical acumen. Okay? So this is the second type, intellectual type. Then the third one is called the Wu gathering. Well, the Pali word is called Vitaka Charita. Tendency to attend to everything, you jump from subject to subject. Okay? So basically there are 6 mental forces, 6 mental types or mental types, temperament types within us. Okay? Out of these, the first 3, we call it the emotional aspect. It has got to do with our emotions. Okay? Not so much of thinking involved. It's more of about feelings, perceptions, things like that. Whereas the other 3, the confidence, critical intellectual acumen and wool-gathering types, we call it the intellectual aspect. Okay. Now, let me go slightly in detail on these 6 types. As I mentioned to you just now, possessiveness or the greedy type, put it in very simple terms, the greedy types is rooted in our greed. So if a person is very possessive, then we know his greed root is very strong. Okay? Then you have the Dato Charita type, or the Antibody type, or the hatred type, angry type. This type is like modern psychology say the fighting cock type lah. Fighting cock type. Okay. Then derootedness is rooted in delusions, not able to see things clearly or in its right perspective, which we call it the confused type. Okay, so I use a simpler English so that we can get it easier. Okay, so the greedy type, angry type, confused type, 3 types. Okay. Now this is said to be the emotional aspect of our human psychology. I have to explain why it's called the emotional aspect, because like you say, I wish to have this. Okay, I'm angry if I don't get it, or I'm lost, or I'm worried if I could not figure a way out. And all this has nothing much to do with thinking. Therefore, it is the emotional aspect. Okay, emotional aspect. Now we go at the other 3 intellectual aspects. The confidence type. Confidence type, you will be surprised why confidence is put as an intellectual aspect and not as an emotional aspect. When you believe in something, do you reason things? You simply believe, isn't it? Then it should be emotional aspect. Then why I put it under intellectual aspect? Now this is very interesting because Buddhism is different from many other religious systems. In all other religious systems, when they talk about belief, it is a form of blind belief. You just believe. God or no God, you believe. That's all. You don't know. You don't know the answer, okay? So now if I tell you, hey, there are 10 policemen waiting outside there. You believe or not? You don't believe. But do you know? You don't know. But you choose not to believe. Because you don't believe me, okay. Or you choose to believe. You choose to believe. But whether you believe or you don't believe, actually the answer is you don't know. So when you believe in something means you don't know. Okay? That is why in the other religious system, if we talk about belief, it has to go under emotion. It has got no thinking. Because you choose to believe or not believe. You don't reason, you don't think. Okay? Whereas in Buddhism, Saddha is based on the pellucity of the mind, clarity of the mind. Meaning to say, you must have knowledge. You must know. You must know why. You must know how. Then only you believe in it. That's called Saddha. Okay? So there is a big difference between the Buddhist Saddha and the theological Saddha you find in other religions. The Buddhist Saddha talks about clarity, talks about knowledge, talks about knowing first before you accept something. That is why the Buddhist Saddha is placed under intellectual aspect, because you need to know. Okay, so that is a vast difference. Okay. Then I further elaborate here. You see, when we talk about Saddha, clarity of the mind, a clear mind sees, understands, and accepts the truth. Okay? It's just like in your classroom. If your teacher teaches you something, you see, you understand, then you accept that truth. That is called Saddha. Okay? Not because he's my teacher. Whatever he says, I must follow. That's why there are a lot of religious scams in this world. Because there are a lot of stupid people who believe in everything what their leaders said. Okay? I always say actually there are more stupid people than clever people in this world. Okay? So there will be a few clever people who will con all the stupid people. Okay, details of what Saddha means, I think I can jump across this one. We have other opportunities to talk about this. Then the second one is called Bodhi Charita, critical intellectual acumen. Here, a person with strong Bodhi Charita sees fault where there is fault, sees good where there is good, tendency to be critical. And when we are critical, sometimes people may say he is very destructive. Sometimes people may say that is very constructive. That is only a judgment by others. But you can be critical. A person with Bodhi Charita can be critical. That's why a lot of meditators are very critical, you know. A lot of meditators will tell you this is right, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is right. And they will go around telling this meditation is right, this meditation is wrong. Right? Actually, think of it, they have very strong Saddha Charita. Very critical. Then they tend to criticize. And when they criticize, sometimes we say, what man, you meditate enough lah. Why every day criticize this, criticize that? Right not? We think whether it is, we pass a value judgment whether it is destructive or constructive. But to him, I see this is not correct, so I'm telling you it's not correct, okay? Or I see this is correct, I'm telling you this is correct. So this is called Saddha Charita, okay? Then the third intellectual one is Vitaka Charita. A mind that wants to attend to everything, all and everything, okay? So we call it the scattered brain type lah. Your brain is scattered, okay? Scattered brain type. So this we can differentiate it from Moha Charita, or the deluded type, or the confused type, in the sense that the confused type, he stays on the same subject, but he cannot penetrate, he cannot understand deeper, okay? Whereas a Vitaka Charita, he doesn't stay on the same subject, he jumps from subject to subject, okay? Okay, so there's a difference. Now, having discussed all these 6 types, they tend to enter into various combinations. Then I will show you the various combinations when they are close affinity, very close affinity between Raga Charita and Saddha Charita. Those who are possessive, greedy, and those who are what you call a conscientious type, or the Saddha Charita type, actually they are very close. Very close. That's why just now I gave you the example. Okay? Give some illustrations. A greedy type wish to have more. Okay? I have a better house, more cars, and things like that. You wish to have more. A Saddha Charita type wish to learn more. So I think all of you here belong to Saddha Charita type lah. That's why you are here today. You want to learn more. Okay? Then some people cannot understand. Say, these people are very attached to the Babs. Every Sunday come to Babs because they cannot understand. We are not the Raga Charita type, we are the Saddha Charita type. Okay? You want to learn more. Okay? Raga Charita type, attachment. Okay? Saddha Charita type, confidence on the wholesome things. Okay? You have great faith. You have faith in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. You have faith in the 4 Noble Truths, the 8 Noble Paths. You have faith on all the wholesome things. Raga Charita type, lustful, attached to the 5 senses. So, on a Sunday, you prefer to go shopping, you prefer to sit around in the house, doing nothing, just watch televisions and things like that. Enjoy your senses. Okay? Whereas, a Saddha Charita type would go and search for virtues, honesty, generosity, these virtues that you emphasize on. Then, for a Raga Charita type, you do not let go of evil. You can be very cunning, very proud, very greedy. Okay? Whereas a Saddha Charita type, when you see something good, you hold on to it. You don't give up. Okay? So you practice good, you continue to do good. A Raga Charita type can be very egocentric, attached to opinions. Actually, the easiest way to identify whether a person has very strong Sagga Charita is to know whether he is always advocating his own opinions and rejecting everybody else's opinions. Okay? So my opinion is the best. Everybody thinks his opinion is the best, no doubt. But you always insist that my opinion is the best and therefore must be followed by everyone. Okay? That is Raga Charita. Okay? Whereas a Saddha Charita type person can also be very egocentric. That's why we go around arguing with people, you know, Dhamma is better than non-Dhamma and things like that. Okay? And we also have very strong opinions. A Raga Charita yearn for position, fame, and praise. Okay? Whereas, if you are the Saddha Charita type, you yearn for honest achievement. In an organization, you want to do something, achieve something, to show that you can achieve something. There's no shame in doing that. You want to achieve something. English called honor. You want to have the honor of doing something, achieving something. Whereas a Raga Charita type just want to have the fame, the name, you know. And sometimes these two is just so close together, you know, you can't differentiate. So some of us in the Buddhist movement, people look at us and say, well, that fellow like to have name only, ma. That's why he's moving around in the Buddhist circle, right or not? We will argue ourselves that, oh, no, I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to do some honest achievement. Well, only your minds can tell, okay? Now, continue with this Raga Charita and Sagga Charita, Saddha Charita. I need to emphasize here, need to explain a little bit about the Raga Charita here. This word Raga in the Pali Canon is a term that oscillates between lust to the senses, to the other extreme of love. Okay? It's from one extreme of sensual lust to the other extreme of love, metta, compassion, metta. And because traditionally in Theravada traditions, we don't like greed, hatred, and delusion, right? So we don't like to talk about, we don't want to advocate anything about lust, passion, and things like that. So much so that we also tend to reject the other extreme, metta. That's why in the ancient time, now not like this, long ago, you see all the Theravada monks, they never seem to show any compassion to people. You realize 50 years ago or say 40 years ago, most of the Theravada monks you don't feel any compassion or love or metta from them. Because they have been taught that way, that raga is no good. So they never care about devotees one. Okay, even devotees can't talk to them, so they don't want to talk to them. They come and talk to them, so they don't look at you. Cannot look at you. You know, the teaching is cannot look at you. You look at you, may get attached. So don't look at you also. But nowadays some monks, they realize this difference. So they know we can have metta to our devotees. Okay? Because this rejection of lust or raga can lead to the rejection of love altogether. And this is not the right thing to do. Okay? Another explanation I need to put here is that Saddha Charita does not mean piously devote to rituals. Some people, because this Saddha Charita, I put it as confidence type. It can also mean the religious type. Okay? Anyway, from the word Saddha can be translated into English as Saddha, as religiosity. So Saddha Charita type can be the religious type. And whenever we talk about religious type means, you come to the Buddhist society very often. You see the Buddha image, you pray. You give dana. Okay, you follow all the rituals. But Saddha Charita goes more than that. Okay, goes more than that. You consciously devote yourself to a worthwhile venture. That is also Saddha Charita. So you can have Saddha Charita in your office. Okay, you can do your work religiously, means regularly, concentrated, put in an effort to get it done. That is called Saddha Charita in your office. Okay? So don't mistaken Saddha Charita only in pubs. Okay? It's in your home, in your house. Okay? Now the next one I want to compare is between Dosa Charita and Bodhi Charita. Okay? Hatred type and the critical type. Dosa Charita type, resentment, dislike. Okay? The things that you see seems to ignore you all the time. Okay? You see the road, then you say, why lah, this JKR, dig here, dig there. There's always something for you to complain. Okay, like, why lah, this Shabbos, today no water, tomorrow no water. Everything you complain. Okay? Then, but if that is redirected to the other direction, then it can, discrimination is strong when he turns to good and the wholesome. So when he goes to good and wholesome, when you redirect to the good and the wholesome side, then you can differentiate. Okay? Discrimination or differentiation is very strong when you turn to the good and the bad. Then, like I mentioned earlier, Dosa Charita seek for non-existent faults. You like to criticize lah. No fault also must find fault. You can see this very often in the office, right? Especially bosses. Bosses always like to find faults where there is no fault, right? At least to you lah, no fault ma, but he always find faults with me. Okay? Whereas Bodhi Charita types seek for existing faults. They find fault where there is fault. Okay? And also like to criticize. So that's why I say very close affinity. Okay? And Dosa Charita type like to react with abusive words and angers. When you see something wrong, you come out with all the bad words. Okay? Then the Bodhi Charita type also come out with strong words, but perhaps kind words lah. So if you are doing a PhD thesis or a master thesis, you have to be very critical. You have to put forth your points. So your point has to be strongly put forth. Okay? So you have to use your intellect. But you don't do that with hatred, right? You are just trying to put forth what your research outcomes are, you see. Then the Dosa Charita, you grudge, revenge, envy, jealousy, slander, pride, and stubbornness. Okay? These are all the characteristics. And dislike and distrust people. This is very close to the fighting cock type lah, modern psychology. Okay? Whereas the Bodhi Charita type is free from grudge, jealousy, and amendable to good advice. Santutticha Subarucha means easy to, people advise you, you're willing to listen. People give you ideas, you're willing to listen. Whereas you are the Dosa Charita type, if people advise you, you feel offended. I've already got the best opinion in the world. Why you need to tell me? I know what to do. I don't like people to talk to me, to tell me what to do. Okay? And does things with mindfulness and wisdom and fun of doing good deeds. Okay? Now, I take this opportunity to explain a little bit more here. Is it when we react to certain situations, we sometimes find it difficult to differentiate between Dosa Charita and Bodhi Charita. Okay, we can claim today, this is my Bodhi Charita characters, but outsiders see it as Dosa Charita characters. And sometimes we react with equanimity, upeka, as people say we are indifferent. Upeka contains two elements. Okay. One is the impartial treatment to all the external elements. Okay? Just like if you have children. One is smarter, one is not so smart. So you treat them impartially. Okay? That is called upeka. You treat them impartially doesn't mean you treat them the same. Okay? The one that is not so smart, you may have to pay more attention. The one that is smarter, you pay less attention. That is called equal treatment. Okay? Equal doesn't mean the same. Okay? So that is upeka. But there is another internal element within. Upeka within means if people criticize you, people praise you or blame you, or you gain something or you lose something, or you have fame and ill fame. Sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are sad. All these are called the 8 vicissitudes of life. You can face these 8 vicissitudes of life coolly and calmly. That's called upekkha. Okay? So within it's like this. So sometimes, people may blame you, criticize you. So you have to be a little bit thick-skinned, okay? It's okay. People will say you thick-skinned. I criticize you, so you just smile only, like nothing happened. So we need to understand that upekkha is not couldn't careless, Some people mistaken upekkha as couldn't careless. Couldn't care means indifferent. Don't care what happened, let it be, okay? And sometimes Buddhists, having learned a lot about Buddhism, know how to apply Buddhism the way they want to apply. So if something happens, I say, this one, anicca, let it be. Then look at this one, the world is the idea, is a dukkha, let it be. So we use all these more Buddhist technical terms to defend ourselves, to justify for ourselves that we no need to do anything. Then we forget that the Buddha told us to do metta, karuna, upekkha, mudita, upekkha. They are the first 3 things you forget already. You jump straight to the 4th great one. Okay? So I like to say that metta is love for everyone. It's generally the love across the board. Karuna is the love for the less fortunate one. And mudita is love for those fortunate one. Whereas upekkha is also love. It's love equally. Okay? So if you understand like this, then you can understand why we have metta bhavana, why we don't have upekkha bhavana. Because from metta bhavana, you develop to all these things. Then the next one I want to discuss with you is the affinity between Moha Charita, the confused type, and the Vitaka Charita, the scattered brain type. The Moha Charita, confused type, ignorant, deluded, forgetful. Okay? But don't blame yourself if you are old already. Forgetful is very natural. Okay? The forgetful is some of these people are to the extreme. To the extreme. Then the Vitaka Charita, like I mentioned to you now, jumping from subject to subject. You indulge in useless talks, speculations, and imaginations. Okay? You like to talk about things that you cannot, you don't know it, but you like to imagine and you talk about it. Okay? For a Moha Charita, your destructive ideas will crop up when you intend to do good. Sometimes you see some beggars or what. The first reaction is, I want to help. But the next reaction is, no don't need to help. That's called Moha Charita. Your delusion comes in. Same thing for the Vitaka Charita. Your destructive ideas crop up when you intend to do good. Same. Then, a Moha Charita is unfirm due to confusedness, not able to make up his mind, follow others, and making conflicting decisions. How many of you experience this very often in the office? You always have bosses like this type, isn't it? Today tell you one thing, tomorrow tell you another thing. Different some more, opposite direction some more. Yeah. Vitaka Charita is not telling you the different conflicting opinions, but changing decisions all the time. Okay? Morning tell you one decision, afternoon change that decision to B, in the evening change the decision to C. Also very often, isn't it? A lot of bosses are like that, right now? Because they don't learn Buddhism. Very salient characteristic of Moha Charita is not able to penetrate deeply, not able to listen to a subject deeply. When a subject is a little bit deep, they cannot follow already. Okay? Or a book is a little bit thick or serious, cannot follow already. Fiction books, you like. Non-fiction, talk about all of these rational things and argument, laws and all things, you don't like because you cannot penetrate. Okay? Right or not? So it depends on our Moha Charita. And a lot of us, we have very strong Moha Charita. That's why we cannot penetrate subject very deeply. Okay? Vitaka Charita is the other side. Unstable because you keep on having new ideas, you know. Okay? A person with Vitaka Charita, you can know it if he or she, when he or she talks, not systematically. Suddenly he talk like that, then he jump like this. Then after that he come back again, then he jump again. Right or not? And this we can see quite often. And if we ask him to write a report, he cannot write a report because he doesn't know how to organize a report. Because his mind is jumping here and there. This is Vitaka Charita. A Moha Charita not able to distinguish right and wrong, good and bad. Same thing for a Vitaka Charita. Generally, it mentioned in the sutta or the commentaries, lazy, skeptical. Okay? Because you are not able to go deeply, so when people talk to you something, you just say, no, not possible, I don't understand. It cannot be like that, skeptical. Skeptical means like you reject things outright. That's called skeptical. Then for a Vitaka Charita, wasting his time, also skeptical and messy. Okay. Okay. So, having discussed with you all the 6 temperamental types, so what is your temperament now? Would like to make a guess for your own temperament? Which is more prominent? Actually, we have all these 6. Which one is the most prominent? Okay? Are you the greedy type? Are you the conscientious type, the angry type, or the critical type, scattered brain type, or the deluded brain type, or any combinations? It's no use just knowing all these temperament types. It's only useful when you begin to look at all these temperament types and how it is applied to our own self. Normally, an observer can tell what is your prominent temperament type. In the Buddhist circle, there are many Buddhist leaders, lay Buddhist leaders. Some of them we know, most of us will know. You look at this fella, this fella, fighting cock type. Come to every meeting, he got something to say one. He criticize everybody one. You can know one. And some, come to every meeting, sit down quietly on one side, observe everything, Then after a long while, pop up something, Also got this type, So there are many, many different types. So when observers observe us, they know our types, but we don't know our type. Because we are already influenced by our own ego and self. So we don't like to be said to be a Raga Charita type. We say we are the Saddha Charita type. Okay? We don't want to be said Dosa Charita type. We say, no, I'm the Bodhi Charita type. Okay? That's why you see in ancient days, training of monks, not like today. All the novices must follow a master and stay with the master. And the master will give assignments. Like Venerable Shingyin say, when his first few years of assignment, doing what? Work in the kitchen. Every day cook. No cooking only. Where got learn Dhamma? You got time, you go and learn by your Dhamma, go and find some book, go and read by yourself. Nobody teach you. Just every day cook, sweep the floor. Then the master observe. Okay? If the person can cook in the kitchen for 5 years, 6 years, after all they become monks at the age of 12. So they can quietly, without complaint, then this fella, his dosa charita is very little. So the monks, actually, the senior monks can always observe the novices and train them accordingly. Not like nowadays. Go there, go and shave, and then after that send you to Buddhist institute, and then come back, diploma, degree, master, PhD, and then start preaching everywhere. Whereas the ancient type monks, you must follow your master, you must follow. Okay? So master assign you, sweep the floor. Okay? So one monk will come and sweep. I come here to learn Dhamma, to get enlightened, Every day ask me to sweep the floor, wasting my time, so you sit very angrily. So the master observing, dosa charita. Dosa charita, very strong. Okay? And some sit very happily, quietly. sweep consciously. Oh, this fellow is Vitaka Charita, very strong. So the master would know. Okay? Some here sweep a little bit, there sweep a little bit, sweep. After that, all dirty everywhere, scattered brain type. The master knows. From a simple act of sweeping, the master would know most of the things. Then they observe. So our children also, same thing. At home, we look at our children. If we are observant, you know what type of person he is. Okay? Knowing our temperament is important so that we can choose what meditation object we want to. So it's recommended, according to the Buddhist texts all over, it's recommended if your Raga Charita is prominent, then you should meditate on various stages of decay. That's why not everybody choose the same object of meditation. For a person that is very strong possessiveness, very greedy type, start with the meditation of various stages of decay of the human body. Okay? And since Raga Charita and Dosa Charita both must operate together with Moha Charita. Okay? We all know greed, hatred, and delusions. Delusion root is accompanied together with the greed root and hatred root. Okay? So now, a person with Raga Charita, it also means his ego is very strong, and his ego is very strong is because he's deluded. Therefore, he must learn how to practice analyzing the body into 32 parts. The meditation on the 32 parts of the body, so that we eventually come to realize that there is no self. And when this idea of no self creeps in, then you have less and less idea of no self, then your possessiveness will be reduced. Okay? And for a person who is very strong in Dosa Charita, we practice with Brahma Vihara. Okay? We practice Metta. Okay? And a person with Bodhi Charita, then contemplation on death. Okay? And a person with Vitaka Charita, breath control. Vitaka, our mind tends to wander. That's why a lot of us, when we practice meditation, we must practice with breath control, so that our mind is not so scattered. We learn to bring our mind to a point. Okay? Saddha Charita, contemplate on the virtues of the Buddha. So, meditation on the virtues of the Buddha, on the 969 virtues of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, to strengthen our religiosity in the Triple Gems. So, understanding Buddhist temperaments is not just for the sake of understanding, it's for us to understand and to choose the practice method that would help us to reduce the what we call the not so good temperament and to enhance those good temperaments. So, in summary, from the Buddhist perspective, there are six temperamental types. The greedy type is also related to the confused type. Okay? And the conscientious type, or the Saddha Charita type, conscientious, I use too many words already. Scattered brain and conscientious, they are Saddha Charita, and they are related. Then you have the angry type. I'll think better this way. This confused type support the greedy and the angry. Okay? It's together. Then the scattered type support the critical type and support also the conscientious type. But all these types I mentioned to you earlier, greedy and conscientious type are very closely related. They are closely affinited. They have close affinity. The angry type and the critical type, they have close affinity. The confused type and the scattered brain type, they have close affinities. So, human temperaments is actually very complex. Okay? Very complex. But which one is more prominent? So, two ways to know. One is to let your genuine friends tell you what type you are. The other one is to practice your own meditation to know. Through sati, through mindfulness, to know exactly what type we are. Okay? So thank you very much. This is my sharing with you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, brother, for your wonderful and interesting Dhamma sharing. Brothers and sisters, if you have any questions, please raise your question and I will bring the mic to you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Brother Dato, for this very intellectual discourse this morning. Yeah, it's very interesting, but it's not so easy to understand. But it takes time to understand. Yeah, I mean, as a human being, as a human being, we are normally said there are two things that make up the personality, the temperament, or the psyche. It's like nature and nurture. Nature is something like we are born with it from our past. Many around the samsara, whatever comes with us, it's like the nature part of it. Certain people are born very intelligent, certain people are not so intelligent, certain people are greedy, certain people are lovely, that kind of thing. And the other part is nurture. Nurture is the brought up, how we are being brought up, and that is many factors. The family you're raised in, the society, your teachers, environment, and many factors. But within these two, I think the nurture part is quite important, right? So this could dictate how we become maybe Bodhi Charita or Dosa Charita or Moha. Could you explain briefly these two, nature and nurture?
When we talk about the temperaments, usually this refers to what we are born with. What we are born with. And why we bother to learn all these things? Because we want to modify it. We want to change it the way we want. That's why, like what I say, the Buddha does not belong to any of the four temperament types because he's the enlightenment type. So we want to learn, we want to know what we are born with. What we are born with is nature, is from our Buddhist perspective an accumulation of all our past karma. Okay? The resultant is us. Okay? The result is us. But this may not be the best, okay? Not enlightened, okay? So the next thing is we want to be enlightened. So we want to learn the Dhamma to change. The nurture part comes in. Then as your nurture part comes in, actually your temperaments change. Okay? I can give you an example. I mentioned to you about temperament types, psychologically 4 types. But there is also the Brick-Meyer's psychological types. You have heard about this? Some of you might have been tested. I also been tested also, Brick-Meyer's psychological types. There, they've broken it up to 4 times 3 times 2. So, 24 types. 24 types. So, some may be introvert, some may be extrovert, okay? Some may be feeling type, some may be perceiving type, some may be thinking type, some may be feeling type, things like that. So I give you an example. You think I'm an extrovert type or an introvert type? Huh? How many of you think I'm extrovert type? But actually, I was born introvert type. Until my university days, I was still an introvert boy. Okay, I was born an introvert type. But you can change one, We say we can acquire the skills of an extrovert if you are introvert. And if you are an extrovert, you can acquire the skill of an... if you are introvert, you can acquire the skill of an extrovert. And if you are an extrovert, you can acquire the skill of an introvert. Okay? Instead of going around every day, go and mix with friends, talking, chit-chatting, you can actually lock yourself in the room, practice some meditation, read some books, play music, keep to yourself. You can. And you can change your psychological type. So you can actually change. So same thing, the temperament types can change. Okay? Right.